Hello everybody, my name is Richard Vigorelli and this is Vigorelli Institute. Now, seeing as how we are toe deep into October, when I'm recording this, it is actually October 3 on Sunday, yes, because it was October 1, I watched a movie. It was a horror movie, although I've seen worse. It was on Netflix, and by the way, before I really dive in, let me mute my phone, because I'm getting a lot of scam calls lately, and they are probably going to dive in right when I need them not to. There we are. So, I was watching this movie. It was on Prime. It was called Bitten, as in hung. Okay. It came out, I think it said 09. So, you know, been a bit. And the star of the show was Jason Mewkes. That is Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, for those of you who are old enough to know who that is. Silent Bob, by the way, is Kevin Smith. I don't like him. Moving on. So, the movie takes place in a city. We don't know which one. We assume it to be Los Angeles? Maybe San Diego? Not sure. Here's how we are kind of given this information. It's all done on Skid Row, basically. And the opening credits are cowboys jumping, shooting the handheld shooty sticks, things, irons, going yahoo, yahoo, as the names flash across the screen. And it's all done in kind of like a flashing mix of orange and red and bright lights and whatnot. So I'm thinking, oh, there's going to be cowboys. No cowboys. Not a single cowboy. I'm confused. The whole thing, again, takes place kind of Skid Row area. Now, Jason plays a guy who's a paramedic. Works the night shift, so, you know, he gets to see the worst of the worst. Anybody who's ever worked in emergency services, first responder stuff, knows 9 times out of 10, if you're working the night stuff, you get to see the worst of it. Yeah, and Chinese medicine, by the way, has an explanation as to why. It's because of the interplay between yin and yang. Nighttime is the yin time. Nighttime is the yin time. And other things that are yin include shadows, bad things, dark things. Yeah, vampires, for instance. So, the weird stuff is probably going to come out at night because it's easier to do so. Also, the night is dark and full of terrors. So, the first 5-10 minutes of the movie is basically showing off his life, which, not the greatest, okay? The neighborhood sucks. He doesn't own a car. He's got bubkiss for money, and he's kind of a putz, okay? His apartment, I'm not quite sure how it works. There doesn't seem to be any locks, but there's locks. Everything's dirty, okay? I don't understand. Whatever. So, there's these two guys that are always out on the street, and they're apparently hustling dope. And they always give him a hard time. He gives them a hard time. I guess they're friends, enemies. I have no idea. I would love to have seen a lot more interaction with them to establish their relationship. Hey, just shut up, bro. Stuff like that. Okay? And, you know, you got this short, fat guy who's one of them, and he's wearing all this gold jewelry, nice clothes, and all this, hanging out on Skid Row. Gee, who's the guy with the drugs? I don't know. Anyway, his partner is this guy who's clearly in his like late 50s, which if you know anything about paramedics, you're not going to last that long. Okay, one, being a paramedic is a young man's game. I know a few. And when you get to be about that age, you're A, running stuff, you're an admin, B, you're a teacher, C, you've retired, you're doing something else, okay? Like chasing grandkids. Yeah. Okay. So, also, his partner, this old guy, he's kind of a perv. I did not like him one iota. I didn't exactly like Jason's character either. Couldn't stand him, honestly. He was kind of a putz, like I said. So, anyway, he gets home from work one night. He sees a super gorgeous brunette, this nut in this dress, laying out discarded in a heap of trash bags, which are full of trash, we are led to believe. Okay. And she's covered in this red stuff. Blood. Covered in blood. She's got 2 little puncture wounds right here on her neck. Okay. So he goes over to her, oh my God, she's dead, and she comes to. She's got these glowing blue eyes. Very obvious fangs that he doesn't seem to notice. Because he's a moron. She even smiles at him. Doesn't see the fangs. He's kind of stupid. Could just be it's really dark outside and you can't see very well, but at least they didn't use day for night. Okay. Then he picks her up and he says, because the 2 drug dealer guys are going to come over and like do stuff to her apparently. So he says, look, you can take it, you can hang out with them because she doesn't want to go with him, or you can come with me where it's safe. So she picks him. So they go up to his apartment and she passes out up there and he doesn't do anything. He's a perfect gentleman, lets her sleep on the couch. Of course, she's covered in blood, so now his couch is covered in blood. Yeah. Okay. He patches up her little wounds and she's sleeping there. So he goes to bed, wakes up, and she's sitting by the edge of the couch, curled up and shaking. Well, he thinks she's going through some kind of withdrawal. So he's like, okay, well, let's get you to the hospital. No hospitals! Okay. And she's acting very, very defensive, very innocent, kind of like, the wounded girl thing. Okay. And she's got this evening dress on, and she's really pretty. So he checks her over, and he shows her a little bit of compassion, and she, calms down. She takes a shower, gets cleaned up a little bit, and he gives her some of his ex-girlfriend's clothes. Which, miraculously, both these women are either same or similar sizes. Okay. And then we get the first little bit of her assets. Totally fake. Wow. Just fake. Whew. Not impressive. So, watching this, I'm just going like, who thought this was good? Who said cut print, let's go? Okay. And they go through a couple of misadventures because he goes to work and comes back and she is shaking. Again, like she's going through withdrawals, he thinks she is. And she says, I'm hungry, I need to eat. So he gives her some food. She says, no, that looks disgusting. So he says, look, I got to go to work again. Why don't you go out and I don't know where to go. I'm scared. He says, okay, well, stay here then. I'll be back in a couple hours. And his ex-girlfriend shows up and wants her stuff back. So she breaks into the apartment and meets this girl, okay, whose name is Danella, we come to find out. And Danella attacks her, bites her, and drinks her, okay, takes her out. So he gets home, ex-girlfriend on the floor, pool of the red stuff all around her, and Danella's sitting there like, I feel better. All the way down, clothes are ruined. He's just going, what the hell? Okay, so they decide to wrap her up in bubble wrap and stick her in a very, very large cabinet. It's kind of like a freezer, but it's made out of wood. He just happens to have sitting there. Bubble wrap. By the way, this is supposed to be a comedy. Now, as he's cleaning up the scene, they're playing, I guess it's a kids show, Clean Up Your Mess song. By the way, this is a comedy. And as we're transitioning through all of these events, we do establishment shots, daytime of the city, and the name of the day name is in Spanish. Almost forgot that part. Okay, here's my question. Why are they in Spanish? Are we establishing we're in Mexico? Okay, because nobody in the show is speaking Spanish. Okay, well maybe we're in Southern California. Again, why is all the cowboy stuff in the Spanish when this is not featured? Okay, is it because her name is Danella, and Danella is a Latin name. Latin, by the way, technically speaking, is of the Empire of Roma, and not necessarily España. Okay? The people of Spanish descent, including everyone in Latin America, they speak Spanish, not Latin. Something that's always driven me crazy, but that's just me. Okay? I've never understood why. I know there's a reason, but I don't get it. I'm old. Shush. Now, as we're going through this, okay, we keep seeing itty-bitty bits of Danella, but she's always this defensive. He asks her, how are you doing this? I don't know. I don't understand. Liar. And apparently Jason's too freaking stupid to figure it out. Okay. So about a day passes, and Miss Danella's hungry again. So he's figured out she needs... So he's figured out that she needs blood. No kidding, Billy. So he decides to go out and catch a cat for her. This is where the movie became irredeemable. I have two. That's evil. And she takes the cat. Well, it makes her puke because, I guess. So he goes out and brings in the drug guy. And she takes him. Well, here's the thing. As, you know, she's finishing up on this guy and grinding on him in underwear because reasons, the ex-girlfriend wakes up. She's a full-on vampire and really wanting CDs. By the way, this is comedy. And they have to take her out, so he runs her through, takes a few times because he can't figure out where the heart is. The guy's a paramedic. Anyway, so they do the same thing to the drug pusher guy and put them both into the cabinet in bubble wrap. Yeah. So, we get a few more scenes of him and his buddy, you know, the other paramedic. The guy's, again, a total perv, and it's driving me crazy at this point. And I'm watching this, I'm going like, is this going to get good? But it was like a train wreck. I couldn't look away. And After two more get taken out and two more of the clean your room thing, he finally starts to decide, you know, maybe Danella's not the best girl to have around, because she's like always hungry. She even just decides, I'm going to go out and get my own. Brings this blonde back. They both have her, as in, and they fall asleep, and Danella apparently consumes her in the middle of the night. He wakes up in a pool of blood. And it's like, oh dear God, why are you doing this? Okay? And there's so many better ways you could have written this. Oh, good Lord. So he figures out that he's going to dump her and get rid of her. She's going, no, I need you. So he decides to lock her in the bathroom and then show up after she threatens to take out his friend, which, by the way, is told from the friend's perspective or her perspective. I don't know. I don't get it. Okay? 90% of the film is done from Jason's perspective, except for one scene which is done from his friend's perspective / Danella's perspective. He shouldn't know about this because we're technically first person limited, I guess. Yeah, and God, we even have a montage of him walking around the city sorting things out in daylight after she bites him. Okay? He goes over and talks to his friend, who then goes and, yeah. So he goes to break up with her, and she kicks down the door, literally blows through it, and pounces on him. And his friend comes in, basically saves his life, only to have her latch on to Jason, and his friend takes her out and then holds his dying body, and that's the end of the movie. Hour and a half. Granted, it felt like an hour and a half. Kind of. A little bit of a long one, though. Okay? See, the cinematography on it was clearly low budget. These guys were using a camera that I actually know which one it is. You can get it on Amazon, I think, for like $500-600. It's a decent camera. Okay? The blood was clearly special effects. Okay? As in, they mixed cornstarch and food coloring together. Yeah. And put that on her. At least they didn't use, like, nail polish, so that's better. Yeah. And, honestly, the only one who could act worth anything was the vampire chick. She at least pulled off defenseless and demure pretty well. Although, from her name, I think it's Stella Cox. That's a cornstar name if I ever heard one. Anyway. And, the way I would have done this, okay? Perfectly fine being a paramedic out in Skid Row. Deal. Okay? Perfectly fine with him having a partner who's a little bit of a perv. I know people like this. They are real. I, however, would drop the age of his partner down to a similar level. Okay? I'd put him 30 at max, and I would put Jason hovering somewhere mid to late 20s. Okay, because one of the things that we open up the movie with is he just broke up with his girlfriend of 6 months, and he's really lamenting the fact that he just can't hold down a relationship, and he's going to die alone. So I'd put him mid-20s, mid to late 20s, okay? Usually that's when guys start thinking, okay, I gotta pull myself together here, stop plowing through bimbos, and, you know, find an actual wife. At least they did. I don't know about now. What do you kids get up to anyway? Okay, so with the beautiful vampire girl, okay, what I would have done is at some point, right at the start of the movie, he walks into a convenience store and he's got some stuff on his shoe. The guy's mopping the floor and he gets mad at him, okay? What I would have done is kept that, but have him meet Donella in there, okay? And she's an actual vamp, okay? She has been for a while now. See, the thing is, she has to eat one human every single night. By the way, if she kills them, they turn. I hate to tell you, but those numbers, because it's an ever-escalating amount, it's called exponential growth, the entire human race will be vampire in about 6 months. And then we're all gone, because we'll starve to death, okay? So that's not going to work. So we need to remove that. It's also why in the Buffy and Angel universe and in several other vampire lore movies and series, the vampire has to provide vampire blood to their victim to turn them, otherwise they just bleed out, okay? Which makes a lot more sense. It just does, okay? It's easier, all right? So, mostly because of that whole exponential growth thing. Also, it keeps their numbers low. That way, they don't overfeed and start taking each other out. So, I would put Donella. Okay, Donella is not exactly a common name nowadays, I guess. I'd make her a little bit older. I'd give her 1, maybe 200 years. Okay, roughly young for a vampire. You know, but, you know, I would put her early to mid-20s, okay? And make her super pretty, just like she is. Better endowment, I might add, rather than fake, okay? And basically, it's kind of a meet cute, okay? Tends to work really well. What I would do is have him come in and accidentally get some crud on the guy's floor. He says, "Hey, what are you doing? I just cleaned that." "I'm sorry. I just got off the late shift. I didn't notice it." Okay? It shows him as a good guy rather than being a total putz. Okay? Say, "Here, let me clean it up for you." Okay? So he takes his mop from him and, you know, cleans it up. And Donella walks over and says, "Hey, you know, that's really nice of you. Good on you. It's good to see some chivalry still around." Okay? It's really, yeah, I remember a while back, you know, I thought it had died, but what do you do? Okay? So she goes to pay for something, and she's dressed, she's pretty, but a little bit cheap at the same time. Okay? And the guy says, "No, I don't sell to you, okay? We don't bring in your kind of trash here." And he says, hey, get, you know, the lady's money is as good as mine. He says, "Well, then you pay for it, boyo." Okay? And he says, "Fine, I will." So he buys whatever it is she wants, and they walk off, okay? So they do a scene where they're kind of meeting, talking, getting to know each other. They're vibing. He says, "You know what, you're a really awesome chick. Unfortunately, I got to get home. I just got off of work. Sun's rising." She says, "Yeah, me too." Okay. Do you want to, like, get together sometime? You know, when are you off? "Oh, well, I'm off on this day." "Hey, so am I." "Awesome. Well, maybe we'll go grab a bite at the diner or something." Okay, and you sneak in a couple of little vampire puns here and there. Okay, just to, you know, pepper a little bit. He says, "Okay, great." So they go out to, we'll say, a late night diner type of thing. They're the only two people in there, and she's just drinking coffee. He's eating. Okay, now he's very used to being up at night. So is she. So he's going like, "Hey, why aren't you eating?" "Oh, I got to keep my girlish figure. I don't particularly like this kind of food, and I didn't really see anything on there that I wanted. Or she could say, well, I'm actually kind of on a bit of a liquid diet right now. Oh, alcohol? Protein shakes, actually. Yeah. Oh, they could probably make you one. Nah, it's not going to be the same. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. Okay? So they exchange not. So, you know, they do the thing, and they go out on a date, and he meets her, and she has just fed. Okay? So she's got a little bit of blood somewhere. Okay? Now, granted, the way the human body works, when you break this area, it kind of goes everywhere. Now, in the movie I watched, they listened to that. There's a couple of issues here. Okay? One makes you kind of obvious. Okay? And two, also kind of gross. All right? I get it that it's horror, but, you know, a little bit of something evil, a little bit of something easy. Okay? So, he basically meets her and is like, hey, I was just on my way. Yeah, hi, doing fine. Okay? You know, she's dressed kind of cute. As they walk away, we see a guy's foot flop into view. Okay? And they go off and have their date. Okay? Next date, it's a little bit more difficult to hide. She doesn't have the chance to feed before going out with him, so he sees her, and her eyes are glowing. He's like, your eyes look different. Well, they're always blue. Yeah, I know, but they're like a different blue. What's going on? Okay. Oh, nothing. You don't need to worry about it. And she smiles, and he goes, you have fangs. What are you? Okay, I'm a vampire. Okay, but it's not that bad. No, I really like you. I don't want to bite you. You know, it'll be fine. So he's still got a terrible life. The guy's a total moron still, but he's got a good heart. And slowly she corrupts him. Okay, we can keep the drug dealer guys. We can keep the ex-girlfriend. We can even keep the crappy landlord that he's got, which I didn't mention. Okay, and very, very slowly, she just takes these people out once every few days. Okay, she needs to feed. Okay, until after the first one, which is his ex-girlfriend, she kind of does that one pro bono for him. Okay, then the guy's hassling him as they're headed back to his place so they can, you know, have quality time. And she says, hang on, baby. Jumps on the guy, feeds, and then, okay, let's go upstairs. She's like, thank you. Okay. And then, you know, he gets up the next morning. She's sleeping off. And the landlord comes in and she's like, hey, I want my money now. This, of course, wakes her up and takes her out too. Okay, now he's in trouble. Okay, he's got to figure out how to get rid of this chick because, again, it's never going to be enough. There's always going to be another victim, another victim, another victim. Okay, and he realizes that he's going to become, because he is now completely complicit in this, and his buddy kind of points that out to him. Okay, so he comes clean with his partner. And they go over to try and take this chick out, and she almost wins. She gets a hold of Jason, and Nom Nom and his friend beats her. Okay? That's how I would do it. I also would vary things a little bit in the setting. I understand it's low budget. Plenty of places you can go. Okay? Parks are free, although controlling the extras is a little bit difficult. Okay? A lot of places, if you talk real nice to them, maybe do something, okay, they'll let you film there. I did it when I was in high school. It's not hard. Okay? Also, I would have credits that are actually germane to the story. I would have music that is relevant to the scene, okay, and not cutesy, okay? I understand this is meant to be a comedy. There's other ways to do comedy that isn't ridiculous, okay? You can have it be a comedy and still terrifying, okay? One good example of that is Reinhardt. Came out, what, a year ago now? Yeah, the guy is servant of Dracula, and it is actually technically a comedy. It's a horror comedy. Okay, Buffy was a horror comedy. Okay, Angel was a little bit more of a drama. A couple of comedic elements into it that Joss threw in every so often, but Buffy, yes, still had plenty of jokes. A lot of them were actually pretty damn good. Okay? And this one wasn't funny. It was stupid. Okay? Also, I would not cast Jason Mewkes in this. I would pick somebody else entirely. It doesn't have to be anybody we know, but here's the thing. Jason's claim to fame is being stoned, being confused, and being obnoxious next to a fat guy that smokes and doesn't talk. It was a nice shtick back in the late 90s, right into the knots. 10 years, 10, 15 years later, though, it's dumb. I hate to tell you, it's really dumb, okay? And I'm sure you're asking, Richard, why are you doing all this? Well, believe it or not, I actually used to write movie scripts. That's actually where I started my writing career. Yeah, now I'm doing novels because, well, have you seen the state of Hollywood? Yeah, I won't get anything sold. It's not worth my time. Also, they only want garbage. What do you do? So, that's just my thoughts on it, okay? If you think you could do better than me, I know you can probably do better than Bitten, please do leave your premise in the comments. I would greatly appreciate it, okay? If you think I'm a total moron, say so. If you agree with me, say so. If you have seen this travesty of a horror, comedy, movie, please let me know your impressions. I want to hear them. Also, if you're a Buffy fan, shout out. All right. If you're new to the channel, hit that big red subscribe button. Share, like, leave comment, yell at me, please do. And if you would like, visit my websites. They will be in the description. I have merchandise and books available. And by the way, book 2, I'm reviewing my beta notes. I'm 50 pages through 220 document. And that is one reviewer. Okay, so we're cracking right along. Hopefully I'll make my Christmas deadline. We'll see. Otherwise, I have to get back to work. So, you take care. Bye-bye.